Today, we're going to be talking about some stories and metaphors. Has anyone read The Prophet before? Khalil Gibran? Jackie? It's wonderful, isn't it? I wanted to read a little bit of this, and there's a particular little bit I wanted, and when I opened it up, it pretty much went straight to it. So this is written, I think it was like, God, it says here 2005, but I think it was like 150 years ago or 200 years ago, but the work's quite amazing. And there's a little page or two here about marriage. And he says, "You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days. Aye, you shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone." Even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress tree grow not in each other's shadow.
That was really beautiful. So when you hear what Adrian was just telling us, what was his story doing to you? What was this poem doing to you? What was his reading of the poem doing of you? Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. What does this mean? What does this mean?
And why the hell are you guys trying to figure it out? I was just reading a poem. I was just reading a poem. And here you guys are trying to figure out, like.
I think our brain likes stuff like those, you know. We want to make sense about things that we can't make sense about.
And there it is, our brain. It's again the mean guy in our brain that tries to do stuff, tries to make sense of things in our skull. Yeah, well, the whole point of the brain is to help us figure out how the world works. But as the world works, we don't necessarily understand those workings and those inner connections, even if we should know them or could know them. But eventually, it's the shores of our souls that bring us together and also separate us when we do share and cross the sea of possibility.
But I wasn't talking about any of you guys. I wasn't talking about any of you. I was just reading a bit of a poem. I mean, what are you all like so into it for? I'm just sharing a poem, right? I mean, this is just a book.
Metaphors are something that not just make us work to understand them, but they draw us in, they lure us in to understand what they are talking about. And poems, especially because of their ambiguity and because of if it's good poetry, it triggers connections, it triggers meanings that we associate with this. And last week we were working with ambiguities, with vague language. Now we are putting this vague language into very specific work. Here in the poetry, you could very easily see how this vague language starts triggering us, starts triggering our thoughts, starts doing something to us in order to draw us in, to understand and put meaning to those words.